And I'm sure you're enjoying this as much as I am.
That Antichrist would maybe be using the tools that you were building, right?
This is Palantir. Its name comes from the Lord of the Rings, from a stone Saruman used to spy on the Middle-earth. And that's no coincidence. It was started by one man and a $2 million check from the CIA's own pocket. But it goes much deeper than that. You'll see the company's crazy CEO coldly admit on camera what his software actually does to innocent people, and the company's creepy founder creating the exact opposite of what Silicon Valley says it believes. This is the first video in a series about the small group of people who went on to reshape the entire world. Peter Thiel, the man who co-founded PayPal. Keep that name in your head. We're starting with the strangest one. But before we go any further, you need to understand something about the man. Beyond his private corporate investments, Peter Thiel has spent years searching for radical life extension, using technology to upgrade minds and bodies beyond nature's limits. This philosophy is called transhumanism. In the fall of 2025, this man gave 4 lectures on the coming of the Antichrist. His argument, roughly, goes like this. The Antichrist won't come as a monster. He'll come promising peace and safety. He'll come stopping wars. He'll come building a system that watches everything, so nothing bad can ever happen again. Satan's parody of Jesus. Pretty ironic, as you'll see. More about it later. Now, the beginning. Back in 2002, Peter Thiel and his old Stanford law classmate Alex Karp are still having the same argument they've had since school. Thiel is convinced free markets solve everything, but Karp is fascinated by neo-Marxist philosophy and believes capitalism is doomed to fail. Keep in mind, Karp has a philosophy PhD from Frankfurt. He practices Tai Chi in his office and has never written a single line of code or run a business in his life. Thiel hires him as CEO anyway. He officially names the company Palantir, after that corrupting seeing stone from Tolkien's world. Nobody involved seems to find that ironic. Eventually, like every other company, they go to raise money. And every serious investor in Silicon Valley completely turns their back on them. Everyone tells them that their company is destined to fail. Even Michael Moritz, the legendary investor that played a key role in Thiel's last company, PayPal, sits through the entire presentation, doodling in his notepad, not listening to a single word of Alex Karp. Karp said later, "I should have told him to go f*** himself." So Thiel funds it himself, $30 million out of his own pocket. But there is one investor makes them a $2 million offer. In-Q-Tel, the CIA's own fund. But hold on for a second. What happened there? How does the money from the CIA even matter if the owner has already made dozens of millions of dollars as a PayPal co-founder? Well, it doesn't. Post 9/11, the CIA was drowning in information. Flight logs, wiretaps, bank records. But none of their government computers could easily share that data and draw conclusions. They were blind. Palantir walked into the office with a killer promise. They would take the fraud detection engine from PayPal and rewire it to hunt terrorists. They promised CIA to finally clean up the information mess. CIA's money basically gave Palantir credibility on the market, but they also gained access to top-secret data. For the next 3 years, Thiel's and CIA's money barely hold the company together. Then, in 2008, Palantir finally releases its first real weapon. A piece of software called GOTHAM. It stripped away human anonymity in real time, taking millions of disconnected data like phone records, credit card payments, text messages, and instantly map out any person's whole life. It sounds awesome, right up until you realize that the same algorithm that maps out a terror cell can easily target a random innocent guy. His job, her home address, phone call records, entire life documented in seconds. Back in 1948, a writer warned about a future where a surveillance state tracks every phone call, every movement, and every human connection. Nobody listened. For the next several years, Palantir grows almost entirely in the shadows, feeding collected data to the FBI, the Army, and intelligence agencies you've never even heard of, while staying carefully out of news. Until 2011, when the mask slips. Hackers break into a partner firm, leaking thousands of private emails, and suddenly, the world sees what Palantir has been doing. Using a law firm as a middleman, Bank of America hired Palantir and 2 other companies to help discredit WikiLeaks journalists. WikiLeaks being the platform where whistleblowers dump classified documents and expose war crimes for the public to see. A tool built to hunt foreign terrorists had just been caught spying on Americans instead. Alex Karp immediately goes into damage control. He publicly apologizes, throws the employees involved under the bus, and promises they will never do offensive cyber attacks, never again. And honestly, for a guy who gives private Tai Chi lessons in his own office, Karp handled it really smooth. Fast forward to 2015, investors quietly value Palantir at $20 billion, making it one of the most valuable startups on Earth that almost nobody outside government or Silicon Valley has probably heard of. That changes around 2017 because of a single program called MAVEN. The Pentagon wants an AI that can scan drone footage and flag targets automatically. Google takes the contract. But thousands of their own employees sign a petition against it, saying they are manufacturing a spy machine. A dozen quit. Google actually backs down. By 2018, the contract dies. Guess who picks it up? Palantir. That contract was worth a few $1 million when Google walked away from it. Under Palantir, it's grown into a program worth more than $13 billion, reportedly helping identify targets for real airstrikes in Iraq, Syria, Yemen, and the Red Sea. Even NATO buys its own version of the AI tracking software in 2025. Google's own engineers looked at this exact technology and refused. Palantir looked at it and built an empire. But spy tech isn't their only specialty. Pentagon's biggest military checks always went to giants like Lockheed Martin. Yet somehow, Palantir shattered that monopoly. It all came down to Project Titan. Its job was to feature AI as part of a bigger battlefield database by pinpointing the exact location of enemy targets. Lockheed lost the deal and got humbled. Palantir built it cheaper, delivered faster, and designed it simply better. When the war in Gaza broke out and big tech panicked trying to hide its military contracts, Palantir doubled down. Karp packed his directors onto a plane to Tel Aviv and signed a deal with Israel Ministry of Defense to put his AI directly onto an active front line, which he used as a test field. That meant when NATO bought its own version of the program in 2025, the software already arrived with a field-tested stamp. Human rights groups, including Amnesty International, have since accused Palantir of directly enabling the military campaign in Gaza, a campaign Amnesty described as genocide, a narrative Israel rejects.
But what was Thiel actually doing this whole time?
While Karp ran the front lines, Thiel operated as a political power, injecting millions into Washington. $15 million into one Ohio Senate race, enough to launch his former employee, J.D. Vance, straight into the vice presidency. Then he got bored, turned down a personal $10 million ask from Trump's own campaign, called Washington exhausting, and left California behind. He went back to funding the dark future he actually believes in, the enhanced games. This is an Olympics where steroids, genetic editing, and artificial human evolution are the entire point instead of considered cheating. While Karp ran the digital front lines, Thiel was busy trying to engineer a race of transhuman athletes. However, here is the twist. Everything you just watched, Titan, Gaza, NATO lining up to buy in, makes Palantir look like an unstoppable gigant. Yet for nearly 2 decades, this shadow empire was actually losing money. Despite the secret military deals and scary reputation, this company spent over 10 years burning cash. Wall Street treated them like a running joke, seeing them as a basic consulting crew pretending to be a tech empire. When they finally tried to put their stock on the market, no one helped them. Palantir had to sell their shares directly, and it crashed to just $6.42, losing 2/3 of its value in late 2022. Financial News officially described the company as dead money. But today, it's one of the most valuable tech companies in the world. Why?
November 2022. ChatGPT is launched, and when people realized its true potential, everyone started trying to lay their hands on the exact AI Palantir had spent 20 years perfecting. By spring 2023, they dropped AIP, their artificial intelligence platform. Think of it as a secure cage that stops standard ChatGPT or Gemini from leaking corporate secrets or hallucinating facts. From now on, you could plug it into your company's database and optimize it using a secured version of any AI chatbot. It worked. Wendy's signed on. American Airlines signed on. The US Army locked in a 10-year, $10 billion contract. But you could also look at this from the other angle. In a matter of days, civilian corporations were quietly wiring Palantir's military-grade targeting architecture directly into their own consumer databases. Your daily life is now being processed by the same AI engine Pentagon uses to coordinate airstrikes. And Alex Karp made sure nobody forgot the philosophy behind Palantir. Speaking publicly on the record in December 2024, he dropped a reminder. And Wall Street rewarded that brutality. By 2025, the exact same stock that was worth $6 had gone up more than 3,000%. When Alex Karp talks about bringing death and pain to enemies, you probably think that brutal efficiency stayed only in foreign battlefields like Gaza. You wish. Let's rewind to 2018, years before AIP in Gaza, when government signed a $42 million deal for a Palantir tool. Falcon. It's a software that basically acts like a private Google search for tracking humans. Type in a name and the algorithm instantly connects the target's driver's license, exact phone coordinates, and home address on a single screen. In August 2019, ICE used that program to execute coordinated sweep across 7 chicken plants in Mississippi. 680 people were arrested in hours. Regardless of your politics on border security, you have to admit the machine operated with killer precision. That Mississippi sweep was the exact moment Palantir became an eye-opener for the people working inside the company. Engineers who thought they were building simple search tools suddenly realized what's the real purpose of it. Tech illusion was gone. And with their new AI platforms now featured across the government, that 2019 heist was just a small sample of today's capabilities. 2 men built this, and to be honest, they don't even look like they're running the same company. Alex Karp, the definition of win-at-all-costs ambition, smiling when talking about deaths in Gaza. And Peter Thiel, billionaire fascinated by the Antichrist and transhumanism, deploying the exact mass surveillance AI he warns the world against. They created a niche company that strips you of your privacy under pretext of security, through surveillance and preventive policing based on AI analysis. Yet even the greatest Big Brother machine of this scale cannot conquer Washington alone. It relies on a network of smaller gears.
If you want to see who actually rules Washington, that video's right here.